Well, it's a brand new month. It just started a few days ago. It's the first Sunday of the month. And it isn't just about Birthday Sunday. The first Sunday of the month, we get to have a whole new Centers for Spiritual Living theme. And the theme for October is Cherish the Human Family. I rather love that. Cherish the human family. And the value for the month is unity. So my talk today is a strong foundation. How will we have a family to cherish, whether it's the small family that lives in your house, the one you came from, this family, a spiritual community, the family of humankind, without a strong foundation. And the strong foundation is there is one life. It is God's life. That life is everywhere present. It is full of joy and beauty and peace and power and light and love, wisdom, abundance. And that life is invisible. And it needs each of us. And it needs the nuclear families, and it needs the bigger families, and it needs the family of humankind that we can all cherish. And we cherish it because we're all made out of God stuff. Now that might seem odd for someone who learned as children that God was some male entity. I think there was usually a beard involved, wasn't there? And a black book with marks to put in it against the things that we didn't do right. And we've all gotten over that, haven't we? We don't have him anymore. Let's hope not. We don't hope. We know that there is one loving presence, wise and wonderful. It adores us. This one life that is the foundation of all cherishes each of us. Did you ever think about that? That you are the beloved in whom God is well pleased. Think about that for a minute, because it's true. We don't feel it enough. We don't experience enough within ourselves. When we do, it becomes easier to cherish the other beloveds that we live with and that we walk down the street with and that we see on the other side of the street. And we begin to realize that we can cherish with a namaste. The divinity within me celebrates the divinity within you. Ernest Holmes, from his Living the Science of Mind, said, "The household of God is a household of peace and happiness." Think of the entire universe as a household. Peace and happiness, and nothing enters it but love, joy, and understanding. For the underlying truth is that God is all there is. God is all there is. We cannot be separate from our source. And my beloved teacher Barney taught us many, many years ago that there's only one problem in the entire universe. And once we solve that, we will have no more problems. Are you ready for that? It's a false belief in being separate from our source. We believe we are separate and apart. And the truth is that we cannot possibly be, because there's only one life. That's our foundation. From that life, all things are created. All people are created. We come forth from this divine essence, and we forget who we are. And then we're here in beautiful communities like this to remind each other who we truly are. This divine presence dwells in all sentient beings, for it brought each sentient being into being everywhere. So this universal ground of being, the perennial philosophy, this has gone on for centuries. Leibniz began with the perennial philosophy. It was taken by Aldous Huxley. There is something underlying everything else. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself, and he didn't even make that up, because philosophers for years have been looking for the thing itself, the underlying ground of being. That's the perennial philosophy, that there's something that never changes and yet brings all things and all beings into being. We change, circumstances change, but the divine foundation of our beloved family of humankind doesn't change, cannot change. So we begin to see things differently because we're brought up to see things in a certain way. Have you noticed that? that our particular country, our particular culture, our particular neighborhood, our particular family, our ethnicity, our religion, our politics, they all form us. But what's so is we made it up. In the infinite underlying presence of all life, there's just infinite possibility. Now, I was reading in, what was that? I think I brought it. That's all right. I was reading a book, and it's called The Gentle Art of Blessing. Diane, I'll catch you up with this. The Gentle Art of Blessing. And in that book, he cites, who was it? I think I did write this down. Oh, yes, The Gentle Art of Blessing was written by Pierre Pradervon. I said it as best as I could. And he gave an example of a scientific experiment where there were two groups of kittens raised in two separate rooms and not allowed out of those rooms as they were growing up. And one of the rooms had walls with all parallel lines. And the other room in which the kittens were raised, I'm sorry, don't let your kitties be disturbed by this. The other room had walls with only horizontal lines. That's what the kittens saw. That's what they were encultured with. When they were let out of the rooms, the kittens that had only parallel lines on the walls didn't see things that were horizontal and bumped into them. Conversely, the kittens who were raised with the horizontal lines didn't see the parallel lines and bumped into furniture and things that were parallel. You see, we perceive things. We make it up. Quantum physics tells us that, yes? That the observer has a lot to do with the scientific experiment, yes? Because there is this malleable life substance. It's underlying everything, everyone, all of the universes, and it's waiting for our perception. And our perception has everything to do with our experience. So isn't it interesting that here we are in our own little clans, in our own little groupings, believing what we have been taught all of our lives and not able to see things differently until we are willing to see things differently and to remember that, I've been brought up with a certain set of beliefs. And when we ask ourselves this question, if there is a habit pattern, if there is something that seems to run us, that isn't pleasant for us, that isn't paying off great dividends in our lives, what if we stopped and asked ourselves, could this be a belief? Could this be just a belief? Well, thank goodness beliefs can be changed. I can change a belief that I cannot do this or that. I can change a belief that a certain group of people are to be distrusted. I can change a belief that after a certain age, I can only do this or that. I can change anything that is a belief. Because underlying everything is this firm foundation of absolute unity. And I am one with the divine, and so are you. So when I court the presence, as Ernest Holmes asked us to do, court the presence, feel that divine unity that is the truth of our being, that is changeless, then we realize there is a law of mind that responds to our belief. We can get a new belief. We can begin to cherish ourselves and stop blaming ourselves or criticizing ourselves. And do you know how beautifully it works when we get a bitter opinion about ourselves, remembering that we are the divine and that we are the beloved in whom God is well pleased, that it becomes easier then to get a bitter opinion about the people we live with, the people we work with, the people we walk down the street and see. It's a belief. Could it be a belief? Yes, it's all about a belief. And when I change that, I'm able to see differently. It's not parallel and horizontal lines anymore. It's brand new. I get a new vision. Many, many years ago, I read a little book called Mr. God. This is Anna. And it was about a little girl who was always talking to God. And I remember at one point in the book, she said, it's a different point to view. It's a different point of view, but it's a different point from which to view. When I deepen my connection with the divine, which is what we're all doing, as I deepen my connection with the divine, I begin to view things differently. We get to unlearn that which never was true about ourselves and about others, so that we truly feel that unity and we truly can experience the interconnectedness that, again, quantum physics has been teaching us. And we have our ability then to inform and transform this life divine by shifting our consciousness, getting a new idea that's a bigger idea. We don't need to be contained in the smallness as we get the bigger ideas. Deepak Chopra, who always speaks about the Buddhi mind experience, he says the quantum realm is the transitional realm between spirit and the material world. We're always bringing new things into the material world. This is how God creates, and we as co-creators with the divine create in the same way. We have learned that consciousness manifests, whether it's the infinite consciousness saying, let there be mountains, let there be rivers, let there be beautiful people, or whether it is our own individualized use of that consciousness that says, let there be more peace in my life, let there be more joy, let there be more abundance. And let me bless everybody I see and say, let me know that there is more abundance in their lives, more love in their lives. We can walk down the street blessing people. And it's a wonderful opportunity to do that. Consciousness manifests. And here's the other part of that. And those of you who took Shortcut to a Miracle might remember, consciousness manifests and dominant thought prevails. Dominant thought prevails. What we think about most of the day tends to become our experience. This is why we say, let's go for at least 51% of positive and constructive and healthy and loving. 51% will get us going in the right direction. Asking ourselves occasionally during the day, is my attention focused on that which is beautiful, that which is loving? Or am I criticizing myself or someone else? How can I experience being cherished and cherishing others when I'm in a mode of criticism or judgment? That needs to go away. Just like this thing that makes me sound funny has to go away and is going away. In fact, I said yesterday to Reverend Mike, I said, now that we're back from Canada and we're getting through this thing that decided it wanted to attach itself to us for a little while, I said, if I'm not speaking clearly on Sunday, I will simply do an interpretive dance. And I'm sure you could have gotten it, right? We can all do that. So we're in the process of releasing that which no longer belongs to us. Changing our beliefs, changing the patterns with the underlying ground of being, which says the unimpeachable wholeness of this universe is flowing in through and as each one of us. Yes? Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, I like that even better. The unimpeachable wholeness of the universe is the absolute eternal reality. And if I have a little sniffle, that doesn't change the underlying truth, does it? Which is why I get to return to my wholeness. If that weren't true, I'd be spinning off into snotty land. I was trying to figure out another word to say, and I didn't find one. That's what it is. I am returning. We always return to our wholeness. We always return to our abundance. We always return to our love and our compassion, so long as we are not setting up blinders where we can't see that as a possibility, so long as we are not stuck in judgment, so long as we are not believing that we're separate from our source. We are one with the one. There is no other. We've been programmed to live from a certain set of beliefs. Do you realize that? We've been programmed to live from a certain set of beliefs because of how we've been enculturated and how we have been shaped. Imagine dropping an executive from Wall Street into the bush country. How would he or she be able to make sense of anything? And then let's go the other way. Imagine dropping a bushman onto Wall Street. Totally out of our realm of belief and knowing. We wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't recognize anything. We wouldn't know how to behave. We need to respect, I believe we need to respect that there are so many ways of living life. There are so many cultures that we need to honor and respect and to cherish. So many religions that we need to love and honor and cherish and understand and pay tribute to. I love that our Jewish friends have been completing their High Holy Days, and that the Rosh Hashanah was about celebrating a new year and then taking a look to see, what needs to be contemplated and maybe changed within ourselves. And then the Yom Kippur, the atonement, which really is at one meant. When we release all the things that we have felt badly about, when we let go of the regrets and let go of the resentments and let go of anything unlike the truth of our being and the truth of everyone else in our lives, we return to our foundation. We return to that sense of being at one with all of the love and all of the wisdom, all the peace and all the power and all the joy in the universe. And we're able to share that with each other then. We need to learn to see with the eyes of the other, and then finally to realize there is no other. There's no other. This unity is the truth of our beautiful divine life. We're not able to see the underlying reality, the deeper reality of the integrity of the universe. I love the word integrity. It's wholeness, nothing broken, nothing missing. The integrity of infinite mind is the truth. Therefore, since you and I are individualized expressions of that one mind, the integrity is also the truth of each one of us. Let's return to it. Let's continue returning to it. No more us and them. That's an erroneous construct, actually. There's no separation. There's no division in divine life. And once we begin to see this universal truth, everything becomes possible. Everything becomes possible. We're no longer contained in a small unit. We no longer have parallel and horizontal lines. We're understanding that we have the ability to think not only outside the box, but to realize there never was a box. We're free in the spirit. We want to help each other return to that place of knowing. Everything begins with divine love and creative intelligence. And you are both. We are both creative intelligence and divine love. This is the firm foundation on which the human family is built. Don't we cherish the divine when you're in meditation, when you're walking in nature, when you're looking in the eyes of a loved one, seeing a brand new baby? Don't you cherish the divine? It's natural to us. And then we cherish the divine in the human. We cherish the divine in one another. So let's remember that the Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living began with a divine idea in the mind of God. It began as a divine idea in the mind of God. And the mind of God, all powerful, all wise, all loving, has never changed its mind about it. And as we continue to deepen our connection with the divine, to expand our consciousness, and to expand our community, that idea becomes brighter. It becomes more powerful. It becomes more light-filled, like that lighthouse that sends out its beacon to others in the community. So let's cherish the spirit that cherishes us and gives us life. Let's honor our ability to use this power, this divine power, in our individual and collective minds to build on this foundation. Let's co-create a healthy, transformative community of conscious, loving, creative people. And as we dive deeply into spirit, in beginning every creative activity within our own lives or within the greater community, success is guaranteed. I love what Thomas à Kempis said. The loftier the building, the deeper must the foundation be laid. The loftier the building, whether that's your individual life, whether it's the life of this spiritual community, we need to deepen the foundation. The foundation is already deep. We need to deepen our awareness of it. Everything is built firmly on the foundation of love, and the foundation of wisdom. It's right here. Let's open our hearts and minds to it. Will you say with me, the house of my consciousness is built on truth. I co-create in the unified field of mind. I want to share one more thing with you before we complete. In this wonderful Centers for Spiritual Living Ministers gathering this past week in Kelowna, British Columbia, there was a handout that we wound up workshopping and having a wonderful discussion about. And it goes like this. If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where my spirit is encouraged to take wing, where do I go to fly? If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where my pain and tears are understood, where do I go to cry? If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where my reality is valued, where do I go to share? If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where I am authentically included and accepted, where do I go to be? If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where I can live, learn, and love, where do I go to grow? If Centers for Spiritual Living is not the place where I feel seen and valued and included, where do I serve? And our whole week was about breakthrough. We are breaking through the illusion of separation. We are coming to realize that this indeed is the place where we can authentically be who we are, to deepen our connection to Source, and to celebrate and to cherish one another. And so, my beloveds, because I'm getting to sound like I'm preaching, and I don't want to do that. So, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson. Thank you. Thank you.